So in order to create our first OpenLayers map, the first thing we're going to need is an HTML page. So here's a very bare bones HTML page. We simply set the doc type, we have the character encoding, a title of My Awesome Map, and an empty body. The first thing we need to add is a div which will contain the OpenLayers map. So let's add that. I'm simply going to call it My Map. I'm also going to add a little styling to that div. I'm going to come in here and add a style tag for the My Map div where I set the width, height, and the border. Now the border is not particularly important. I'm just setting it to something visible so that we can see the div on the screen without a map inside it. However, the width and height are important. If you don't predefine the width and the height of the containing div, then OpenLayers, when it goes to create the map, will just assume a width and a height of 0, and your map won't show up on your page. So always be sure to predefine the width and height of your container div. So that's basically it for our HTML setup. The only thing that we still need to do is import the OpenLayers library. So I'm coming into our head here, and I'm adding in a reference to the OpenLayers library. Now, of course, you could download the library onto your own machine or onto your own server. However, I just chose to link directly to the OpenLayers server. In addition to the JavaScript source file, I'm also going to add a CSS file from OpenLayers. Now, this isn't strictly necessary. However, this does contain some basic styling for a lot of the OpenLayers controls. If you don't include the CSS file and you don't provide your own styling, then those buttons will not be visible. I recommend using this CSS file at first. Once you get a little more used to the OpenLayers library, you can style your own buttons however you choose. The last thing that we need to add HTML-wise is a script tag for our JavaScript. Notice that I'm putting this below the container div. This is so that the script will not execute until after the MyMap div has been created. And this is very important. A reference to the div which will contain the map will be passed to OpenLayers when we try to instantiate the map, and therefore that container div must have been created prior to executing that JavaScript. So taking a look at where we are so far, here's our MyMap div with a width of 600 pixels, a height of 400 pixels, and this solid border. Not much to see, but we're going to fill in everything else starting in the next lesson.